Welcome to my parlor. I'm Priscilla Andrews with Prairie Parlor in cooperation with tinypandora.com's 2019 design team. Welcome back to my parlor. I'm Priscilla Andrews with Prairie Parlor, and I welcome you to part of my outdoor parlor, I guess. And now the sun comes out. I chose to come out here because it was a beautiful day with an overcast sky. Thought I could get you introduced to this project in my outdoor part of my parlor. So what we're making today is this bracelet. This is a rustic bracelet made from Tiny Pandora's EasyBangle kit. So we're going to make that, and the tutorial follows. So while you make up this bracelet for the next few minutes, I am going to go inside and I am going to make a rhubarb pie with rhubarb that I just picked. And yeah, that rhubarb. Let's get started. Just a note, because some people have noticed. So let's get started with the supplies. I start with a gold on the inside that will be silk screened with a silk screen from Tiny Pandora that's nice and long for bracelets. The base color will actually be a dark pewter, and then I mixed a pearl with a little bit of metallic paint. The final color on the top is copper. We're going to need some leather or fabric to wrap around the bracelet, and pick out some charms that you think will go good with whatever you decide to do. We're going to be using texture sheets if you want, and just 3 different textures. Now we're going to run these 3 colors through the pasta machine on the second thickest setting because we're going to be texturing them, and that puts pressure on them and makes them thinner. So go ahead and texture your silver piece and your next piece, which in this case is the lighter color. I have some really nice squiggly marks on here, and they should stain well. So go ahead and do the rest of it. And then we start with the second largest template. We're going to cut this out to the sizes that are going to fit the EasyBangle ring. So I just put the bracelet on the ring underneath the lip here and just work it all the way around until I get to the end. And then I cut it off and blend the end together so that it's not obvious. You can use the texture sheet and just place it on top to blend those ends. Now the next one that you put on, I want you to note that it is put on over the lip. It's going to leave a little white on the back. Now we're going to cut our notches for the leather, and I make a notch on each side of the bracelet about 1/2 inch wide and 1/4 inch deep, and I then round the corners off a little bit. Now you're ready to put it in the oven and bake it for 30 minutes. So while that's baking, let's do the inside of the bracelet. I take my gold and I put it through the pasta machine on the 3rd setting. Leave those edges rough, and you'll see why in a little bit. But right now we need to silk screen it. So I take my silk screen, and if you need instructions on how to silk screen, you can find them in the link below. I used a color of acrylic paint called Black Pearl, and it was black, but it didn't have the deep dark striations that I wanted. Something a little softer for this bracelet. So we'll go ahead and get your silk screen going, and if you're lucky, it'll come out and off really cool. This part's always exciting, and I'm devastated when it doesn't work. But while that dries, we're now going to make the very top of the bracelet, which is made out of copper. So we're going to texture it again, and Then when you're done texturing, use the very smallest template to cut this band out. Now I have a beautiful kind of a fish scale texture on this one, and we're going to adhere it to the baked bracelet so far, and it's going to go on top of the white part. I used liquid translucent clay because I was out of bake and bond, but either of those would work just fine. So you just need to put a good amount on the back, not too much or it'll squish out, and just place that copper band over the top of the second color. Then cut the notches out of the copper where you had previously cut it out of the bracelet. And now we're going to add the dried inside band. Add the liquid translucent polymer clay or your bake and bond to the back of the piece that's going to go on the inside, and then place that on the inside, leaving the rough edges sticking out beyond the rest of the bracelet on both sides. There, that's what we wanted. And this is also why we left that white with a little lip of its own, so it didn't get so thick there. Now you're going to literally break those edges off and fold it over the edge of both sides of the bracelet and bake it. There we go. We have that gold broken over both edges, and now we're going to stain it so that those textured parts of the bracelet really are highlighted. I place some wax paper down. I use a fairly soft brush to get into all the cracks and edges. And my paint is, or my stain is 1 part water to 10 parts acrylic paint. Then I go and I add the stain to all the parts, all the way up to the edge of the gold. Do not paint over the gold. We're going to leave that as it is because some of the silkscreen remains on the edges. There, it's all dry. Now we're going to sand it off. I start with 320 sandpaper to get the edges off, and then I finish with 400 and 600. So I take that and I just start sanding away. You can remove as much as you want or as little as you want. You can do whatever you want with this bracelet. There. My final step is I polish with my Dremel. I've found that fleece makes the best pads for me, and this was new pads, so I had stuff flying all over. Anyway, next, I'm going to grab your lace or your leather, whatever you decide to put on here, and I just use super glue. I secure the first end, and I'm going to make 3 wraps. The third wrap is going to come, or the second wrap is coming down the middle, and that is what you're going to be putting your charm on. So slip your charm onto that leather or fabric, whatever you decide to use here, and finish the third wrap, and then super glue that down. I kind of measured where the edge was so I knew where to glue it. After that's dry, I cut it off, and I dab a little more glue on the end of it usually, and there. Look, we're done. I really wish it happened this quickly in real life, but guess what I did? I finished a pie. The magic of video. Special thanks to tinypandora.com for this program. And next time...
Hi, welcome to my parlor. Today we've been working with some bowls, and I thought I would just take a little walk around the place and show you a little bit about sand hills. And I just kind of had some company show up here.
So until then, I'm going to grab a cup of coffee, and thank you for watching, and watch for more in the future. From Prairie Parlor, this is Priscilla Andrews.